What's up guys, how are you all doing today? We now know what the Model Y is gonna be like. It's gonna be super amazing, and I want to talk about one specific thing that Tesla has finally improved on and they've learned, and I am so happy Tesla has actually introduced this feature. It is the heat pump. The heat pump is so important that people who live in colder climates will appreciate the extra range that they will have in winter a great amount. We all know people who say, oh, electric cars don't actually have range in winter, or that the range drops by like 40-50% in winter or something. A few reasons why this happens is because a cold battery, which if you preheat a Tesla, after a while it would actually start to heat up the battery. So just preheat the Tesla and you're all good. It'll heat up the battery, it'll give you a bit more range. Air resistance, that you really can't fix because, you know, colder air is more dense, so you need a more aerodynamic shape, but generally it's because it's dense. You have snow on the ground, slush, just more rolling resistance, and that you really can't fix that. And then thirdly is the heater. You can fix that because what a heat pump does is it uses heat from outside. Now you might be thinking, how does it use heat from outside? Well, I'm gonna get into a bit of physics here, okay? So although we think it's really cold outside, there is actually quite a bit amount of heat. Absolute zero is at negative 273.15 degrees Celsius to be precise. That means at that temperature, there is no amount of energy. The atoms are not vibrating at all. They're perfectly still. They have no amount of energy to give off. Whereas anything above that, and considering if you're talking about 0 degrees Celsius or like about 32 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 273 degrees above that temperature. And if you know anything about temperature, if it goes up by 20 degrees in one day, holy crap, you want to burn to death because it's just so damn hot. And this is 200, that's like 10 times the amount. So you gotta believe that there's so much more energy. All we need to do is have technologies that can capture that. Now, how does a heat pump actually work? Well, it's just an air conditioner working in reverse. So what does an air conditioner do? An air conditioner takes heat from inside the cabin and puts it outside, or inside whatever closed space and puts it outside. And by doing that, what you're basically doing is cooling the air inside the cabin. And a heat pump literally does the opposite. It's basically cooling the outside, so the heat is actually going inside the cabin. And the best part about a heat pump is that it is so efficient that for every 1 unit of electricity you use, it gives you 3 units of heat. Whereas if you just use the standard that Tesla has been doing, what you do is heat up a coil using electricity by passing electricity through it, kind of like a stove, those electric stoves. They heat up the coil and that turns into electricity. So for 1 unit of electricity, you get 1 unit of heat, which isn't bad, except that that is quite a bit more inefficient. And if you can get 3 times the better efficiency, you know that that is going to be so much more better to use in colder climates. Now, yes, you may struggle to actually use it in really cold climates like below negative 4 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 20 degrees Celsius, but that is really cold. Most of the population doesn't even live in those cold climates. At that point, your range in an ICE car is sacrificed by a whole ton amount, like a lot. I would know this because I drove in an SUV from New York all the way back to Canada, and our range was severely impacted. We had to fill up 3 times. Instead, all we had to do was fill up twice if it was like summer. If we started off with a full tank of fuel from home and to go to USA, we would only have to fill up once to go to New York. So with a heat pump, climates like here in Toronto or Southern Ontario, or most of the population in the US or Southern Canada, they can use a heat pump because it's rare to get the temperature so low below negative 20 degrees. Now, yes, it happens occasionally. It's not all the time, maybe 1 day in a winter. I don't think it ever happened this winter. This winter was very warm. But basically, it may happen in some cases, but generally it doesn't. And in those cases, a heat pump is so helpful, and it basically gives you 30% more range. That is the power of a heat pump. So if you take the long range Model 3, the range would be cut to about 200-250 miles, whereas with a heat pump, you can probably still get 300 miles on a charge in winter if you preheat the battery. Maybe 250, but actual 250 driving on the highway. At least 200 for sure. Whereas in some cases, people are saying you might not even get 200 on 1 full charge on a long range Model 3. just because you're using the heater so much. Now, yes, if it gets below that, you will have to use the coil heaters. It will drop your range, but generally for most of the population in Europe and North America, they will never need it. I don't know why Tesla hasn't implemented it, because almost every other electric car out there by every other manufacturer has it. And it is so important, and thank God that Tesla actually did it. Yes, it adds complexity, but I am so glad Tesla did it. And I believe that the Model Y is gonna be one of the best-selling vehicles in pretty much every continent that Tesla will actually sell, so Europe and North America. And I believe it's gonna be the best car in the segment. The heat pump will come to the Model 3 in future, most likely this year, so we're just gonna have to wait for that. Me personally, I would hold off on buying any sort of Tesla, especially new, until Battery Investor Day. It's only a month away. I think I can wait. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one. This is a short one, I hope. And yeah, I'm done. Bye, peace, yeah.